All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about a really powerful story. It's about a father, his son, and a childhood game that, well, it might just hold the secret to how we live our lives. Yeah, I'm talking about blanket forts. And believe it or not, they can tell us some pretty profound things about imagination, resilience, and maybe even reality itself. So, let's get into it.
So picture this. It all kicks off with this one simple question. A dad sees his son Evan totally absorbed in his phone, just endlessly scrolling. And he tries to bridge that gap, to connect, by bringing up a memory from his own childhood. This question, it's so much more than just a trip down memory lane. It's like an invitation to a whole different way of looking at the world, a world that existed way before screens were everywhere.
And really, this right here shows the huge difference between these two worlds. They're like night and day. On one side, you've got Evan's reality, doom scrolling, just passively taking in whatever the algorithm feeds him, pre-made entertainment. But on the other side, his dad's childhood, that was all about active creation. I mean, literally building entire worlds from the ground up with just some blankets and a whole lot of imagination.
Okay, so that brings us right to the heart of this world building, the art of the fort. We're about to see how these simple little structures were so much more than just a place to mess around. They were a gateway, really, to something much deeper. See, inside what the dad calls the blanket bubble, the normal rules of the world just didn't apply. They were suspended. This thing wasn't just a fort. It was a portal. It was this magical space where a kid could literally reshape their entire universe in an instant. A spaceship one minute, a desert island the next, whatever the story needed. It was a physical place that unlocked complete mental freedom. So you might be wondering, if there are no rules, how did this not just turn into total chaos? Right? Well, that brings us to the rules of imagination. And here's the thing, these aren't rules like you'd think. It's more like a set of intuitive principles for how to build a world together when you don't have a script. The secret sauce here was something the dad calls mystic senses. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Think of it almost like a form of group telepathy, a shared superpower. It's that unspoken ability to just tune in to what everyone else is thinking and feeling. It's how they could build this whole shared fantasy together without anyone ever having to stop and say, okay, your turn to be the bad guy. And you can see what happened because of these mystic senses. The way they played was just totally collaborative. I mean, think about it. No one was in charge, roles could be traded at any time, everyone was included. No props needed. And maybe the biggest one, everyone always wins. No losers. It was all about the shared journey, not who came out on top. That's a huge shift from how most games work today, right?
And get this, the fort wasn't just for epic adventures and fighting dragons. It was also a safe space to explore feelings. It was like a laboratory for emotions. It was a place where they could try on being angry or confused or hopeful just to see what it felt like. They could explore the whole range of human experience without any real risk. It was an emotional training ground, a dress rehearsal for life.
But of course, this kind of training doesn't just stay inside a blanket fort forever. The skills they learned as kids started to evolve, and they began to apply them to the real world. And that takes us to our next section, from play to reality. This is where we see how those make-believe adventures started to become very, very real.
You can actually see how this whole thing grows with them over time. It starts with the simple blanket forts in the living room. Then, around age 12, it morphs into a more permanent command center under the back porch. And then, in college, it transforms into the ultimate playground, the real world. Now we're talking real adventures with real risks, rafting, caving, climbing.
Okay, you remember this game, right? The floor is lava. Well, the dad talks about playing this all the time, but he points out something really important. The goal wasn't about who could get across the fastest. The goal was for everybody to make it to the other side safely. It was this made-up risk, sure, but it wasn't designed to find a winner. It was designed to teach them how to succeed together. So now, let's fast forward to his adult life. That childhood game, it turns into this powerful metaphor for rock climbing. The dad actually talks about using his special soul powers to cling to a sheer granite wall. The imagined skill he used to survive the lava floor becomes the very real, focused willpower he needs to tackle a life-or-death challenge. And all of this really builds into this core philosophy that he lives by. He doesn't just sit around waiting for life to get tough. No, he actively goes out and looks for challenges. He intentionally puts himself in stressful, difficult situations because he knows that's what will force him to expand his physical, mental, and emotional limits. It's all about growth. Okay, So this is where it all comes together. This is the big idea, the ultimate metaphor that connects everything we've been talking about. We're about to zoom way, way out and look at our entire reality through the lens of this simple childhood game. Life is a blanket fort. So what if it is? What if this world, this reality that we take so seriously every single day, what if it's just the biggest blanket fort of all? A temporary play space built for a much, much deeper reason. This is the question that takes this whole story from a sweet memory and turns it into a full-blown spiritual philosophy. And the name he gives this giant blanket fort? He calls it Soul School. Here's the idea. Our real self, the part of us that lasts, is our soul. And this life, our body, our name, our job, all of it, is just a temporary costume that we're wearing. We're here to learn, to experience thoughts and feelings, and ultimately, to discover who we really are and master our true abilities. But there's a catch. There's a big danger here. The main risk in Soul School is that we forget we're in school. It's that we get so caught up in the game, so attached to our costume, that we start to believe the costume is us. We forget that we're the soul having the adventure, and we start to think we actually are the character we're playing. And this brings us right back to a challenge we all face today. Just think about the difference between reading a book and watching a movie. When you're reading, your mind, your willpower, has to do the work. It creates the images, it builds the world, it's a workout for those mystic senses. But when you watch a movie, the screen does all the work for you. It can be almost hypnotic, telling you what to see and feel. It's a passive experience, and over time, that can make our own imaginative muscles a little weaker.
And the whole story wraps up with these really powerful words. It's what the dad's father would say when the game was over, when it was time to fold up the blankets. But now, these words mean something so much bigger. They're a call to action for every single one of us. A reminder that we have the power to take down the old forts we've built in our lives, in our minds, and to choose what comes next. So I'll leave you with this. What mess is it time for you to clean up? And what new adventure are you going to start?